Paltrocast.
How is your day going aside from having to do media and, talk to people like me?
It's going pretty well. I just got home. I was almost late for this because I was driving home and I got stuck behind like three school buses. So happy I made it in time.
So we now know that you are a law-abiding, award-winning songwriter producer.
Yeah.
The decor that you have behind you, when did you first get to hang that on the wall?
So that's a plaque I got for an album I contributed to. I produced two songs on it. It's by Young Boy, Never Broke Again. I believe the album came out in September 2021. So I think I got the plaque a couple months later. I have a bunch more of these that I could order, but they're about $400 a piece if you want to order them.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of BS that the labels don't pay for them, but it's all out of pocket. So I'm waiting until I get to my next house. Like I'm still in my parents' house right now, so I'm moving next month.
that was a hard
Order the
lesson
rest.
I learned from my music industry days. There was a band I was working with around 2008, 2009. The label hadn't told them that their album from the early 90s had gone platinum. The band realized it, and then they realized, oh, we should get everyone gold and platinum records. And the platinum records then were 300, so it's gone up to 400 now.
Yeah, maybe with shipping or just the company that does it. I don't know, but it's definitely not cheap.
It's a good problem for you to have, and of course, that's not your only success because Lil Baby, Bad Bunny, Nas, etc. Now, you were not in college too long ago. Most people have to wait years after college for all this to happen. When did you kind of realize, as a Bryant University student, that okay, I might be going into this as a career as opposed to doing this in the off time from your career?
So kind of over coming back to school sophomore year is when I realized that. So my freshman year was just about spring break of my freshman year when COVID hit and we just
Mhm.
never went back. And I was doing this as a hobby, just making beats, like producing music and growing my brand and all that stuff. And then over COVID, I really kind of dove deep into it. I was doing it like 8 hours a day, like just really spending all that free time I had doing it. And I made a
Mhm.
lot of progress that summer. I kind of did a lot of networking, made a lot of connections. And by the time I was ready to go back to school in September, I had a couple songs with some major artists, and I was realizing that I could definitely do it as a career.
Right. Now, the actual producing is just such a small part of the big picture game because there's networking and staying people's good terms, and there's publishing and all that kind of stuff. When did you
Mhm.
start to understand the publishing, copyright composition part of the aspect of what you do?
So I kind of had no idea how any of that stuff as I got my first few songs with big artists.
First
And
cuts, as they
yeah,
call
yeah,
them.
yeah, cuts, but
Yeah.
like placements that actually came out too. So like I kind of didn't really know what I was doing. So I would kind of just posted something on my Instagram story like, hey, looking for an entertainment lawyer if anybody knows somebody. So a friend of mine put me on to a good lawyer and he kind of taught me a little bit of like what I needed to know just as I was kind of entering the music business. And then I got a manager who helped me really learn kind of everything I needed to know for that side of the music business.
So what I'm hearing is the initial success came organically. Then the other stuff, sure, there was skill involved, but the team was involved to make sure that there were great opportunities.
Yeah. And more just to make sure that like I got paid for everything I did, honestly, just because it's notoriously hard to get paid for your stuff in the music industry sometimes, unless you kind of know the business and you have a good team around you. So it was definitely once I was kind of accumulating a few songs like that with major artists, I knew it was time to kind of get a team that knew what they were doing because I didn't know what I was doing for sure.
Who's your publisher at this point in time?
So my publisher, I signed a deal with Sony Music last summer. So I'm published by Sony right now.
Nice.
So
The
it was a
LA
three
office?
year deal. Uh I signed at the New York office, but I've been to the LA office and the Atlanta office.
Nice. Okay. These days, are you finding that most of your opportunities come from you just show it to your manager or the publisher, or are just people coming to you directly and go, "What do you got?" And then you go, "Here's three beats. What do you like?"
Yeah. It's a lot of everything. You definitely gotta be sending stuff to people all the time and reaching out to people on your own. Like I'd say 80% of what I do is from my own initiative and my own connections. But actually, so my manager passed away in May, so I have not had a manager since then. But he was super instrumental with sending stuff around and helping get my beats and my music out there. So that definitely is a major advantage of having a manager, but still, like, most of what I do is kind of on my own.
It's very cool to see that your alma mater is supportive of what you do. I say that because when I went to Hofstra University, and I went there before it was a good school. So I tell people I went to Hofstra and they go, wow, you must have done really good in high school. Nope, not really, didn't study. But when I went there, very few of the celebrities or successful people in entertainment embraced the school. So, for example, Christopher Walken went to my school. You never heard him once say, thanks to the folks at Hofstra, I got to where I am. So, when did you realize that, hey, Bryant is supporting me?
So it's actually a funny story. Nobody at Bryant really knew anything about like my music career or anything like that until about a month before I graduated. And there was an award that I got an email about an award they were giving away at graduation called like the Achievement in Creative Expression Award. And I was like, I might qualify for that. That might be something that they might give me. So I applied for it. And then Bryant kind of found out about what I do. So they connected me with Karen, who's been super awesome, just giving me a lot of opportunities for media stuff, which I would have not really had any way to get into before that. So it's Bryant has been super helpful since then, and just kind of they found out about me right before I graduated, and they were like, "Oh, we gotta help this kid out, I guess." So it's definitely they've been super super great so far, and I'm looking forward to more stuff in the future that we have in the works.
Now, this is a generalization, but I promise that this is a compliment where this is going. So, I interview a lot of composers, producers, beat makers, creative people doing really well like yourself. And one thing that I find that they all have in common is that they're all super motivated, but the music writing thing is not the final destination. In other words, they all want to be either TV and film producers, have a clothing line, have an energy drink, etc. Where are you with all that? Or are you the only one who just wants to write beats?
I love making beats. I'm perfectly happy doing that for a while. I feel like 5, 10 years from now, I might be wanting to do other stuff. And like for me, the big thing is just going to be kind of expanding like what I do and the artists I work with and all that stuff. I really want to just get to the absolute top of the beat making game. Um, I would say that in the future, I'd love to do stuff for like write music for movies or like score films and TV and stuff like that, or video games, all that stuff. But it's kind of just 4 years ago, I would have never had any idea where those 4 years would take me, like where I'd be right now. So I'm trying to just not really have too long term of a plan and just see where it takes me.
When you're not busy in the studio, are you still listening to music or do your ears need to shut off for a while?
I listen to music like almost every one of my waking moments. Like I feel like I'm always surrounded by it, always thinking about it. It's definitely there's probably like 70% of my brain at any given time is thinking about music.
Do you go to a lot of concerts in general?
um COVID's kind of made that hard over the last few years, but I've gone to a few shows, yeah, since everything's been back to normal. I like going to concerts, especially like when you go to an artist that like you've produced for a show and like they're actually performing your stuff. That's the best feeling.
Do you ever get the shout out from the stage of like, this guy right here did this?
No, not yet, but hopefully pretty soon. Once I'm in LA, like I'm gonna try to be like backstage at festivals and stuff like that. Like, are you familiar with Rolling Loud?
Yes.
That festival? Yeah, yeah. So I could have gone there and got a backstage pass this year, but I couldn't make it work schedule wise. But the next one, I really want to be there because that's just such a great opportunity to be kind of backstage with a ton of the biggest artists in the industry.
Right. Back to your creative process though. Are you very prolific or is that every song that's written pretty much comes out and gets submitted around?
Oh no. I'd say the percentage of like beats that I make versus like beats that artists get on, it's like maybe maybe 5%, and then of that 5% songs that actually come out, the thing you'll never really realize is that all these artists are recording so many songs and only a very select few actually ever see the light of day. So
Yeah,
it's, and the ones that see the light of day are the only ones that we get paid for.
right.
So
Yeah,
it's
mixtapes you
definitely,
generally don't get paid for, which is bizarro because more people hear the mixtape usually than the album tracks.
yeah. I mean, you'll get paid for like mixtape stuff, album stuff, but like I'm just talking about all the unreleased stuff in the artist notes app on their phone. You know what I mean?
Makes sense to me. I found that what you just said is 99.999% true, except one guy. And I don't know if you're allowed to say his name before anymore, but Dr. Luke, somebody had told me that at that point in like 2012, they said, check his ass cap. He only has 28 songs or 30 songs,
Mhm.
period. And at that point in time, he had 20 to 30 singles, which makes you think that every song he did was like a 4 week production, and he went only home runs, which that's the only person I could think of like that.
Yeah. I mean, but when you look on the ASCAP like that or whatever it is, you're only seeing the songs that have come out. You're not seeing all the ones that he made in the studio with these artists that never made the cut. You know what I mean?
Oh, so he didn't register his unreleased stuff.
Yeah, because there's nothing to register. Like it's not a real song yet, I guess. But yeah, it's an interesting industry just because of that. It's definitely not my favorite thing about the industry, but I love what I do, so we make do.
Yeah, the music business, you do the music, your management and all that, they do the business. And I think that's probably how it works for the best.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned a lot about just like the business in general. Like Bryant was great too, just kind of teaching me stuff that I wouldn't have figured out along the way. So like I definitely have handled a lot of business stuff before, but it's definitely good to surround yourself with a good team so that I can focus on the part that I'm really good at, which is the creative stuff. So it's been important to find the right team along the way.
Got it. Well, two quick questions and then I'll let you go. And the first one has to do with actual influences. When you say to a music related person who your influence is, that's usually a cringy stock question. But in your case, what's the artist that made you want to start producing in the first place, or that made you realize that it's not just a song that you hear, but there's actual production going on?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'd say a couple producers that I'm very heavily influenced by, like, and who made me get into making beats is obviously like Metro Boomin and Nick Mira is another legend. So I would say those two are some of my biggest influences to get into making beats.
And those are the artists that when you heard it, that you realize it's not just an audio thing, but it's actually layers of sound and waves and kilohertz and all that? Or did that come from an
Yeah.
early thing?
Well, so I would say what Metro did, Metro Boomin, he is one of the first producers to like be like a producer that's kind of in the spotlight. Like he did have his iconic producer tags and like the albums he'll put out where he's the lead artist and it's featuring all of these like heavy hitter artists like Travis Scott, Drake, The Weeknd, whatever. And that like kind of made me realize just like what like a producer was and what they did. And I found out about Metro in like probably 2016. And then in around 20, like late 2018, 2019, I saw some YouTube videos by this guy Nick Mira, who, are you familiar with the artist Juice World?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he did like all like the beats for all of Juice World's kind of stuff while he was upcoming and becoming a superstar. And I was a huge Juice World fan, so I was familiar with Nick Mira, and I realized that he had like like YouTube channels where he would just do tutorials and teach people how to make beats. So that's actually how I started to learn to make beats, and so I'd say he was a huge inspiration on my career.
Cool. And last question, what's your number two besides music? I find most people in music, if they only do music all the time, they will be burnt out within 4 years of it. So they usually do the exact opposite. You seem too young for golf. I don't think that you're of the golf.
I do golf. I
Oh, you
definitely
do
do
golf?
golf. Yeah. I picked it up a couple years ago, so I'm not any good yet, but all my friends play. So I golf, I ski a lot. I enjoy just kind of going out with my friends and having a good time. Like Yeah, I just do whatever. I try to balance music and other stuff very well, because which definitely prevents me from getting burnt out. I've been in phases where I've felt burnt out, and just having that balance of it and making sure you do spend time doing other things all the time is very good for the mental part of it.
And then eventually with your golf game, then you could have the music golf foursome that goes out on the course. So it's actual networking while you're golfing. So
100%. Yeah, yeah.
over time, you kind of learn like Eddie Van Halen and Alice Cooper and Carlos Santana and all these people, they take it to the golf course when they're not doing music. But
Yeah.
I assume golf is not your number two, though. Your number two is the being with friends and just being Ethan and not being Haze.
Yeah, honestly, I'm happy you put it like that, because I've definitely described it before. Yeah, so hanging out with friends like that is a huge reason that I stayed in school, that I didn't drop out with all the success that I was having. Like the friends I found at Bryant were really awesome, and the community there was awesome. So I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, no, I would say just this whole summer I've kind of been just taking time to spend time with friends and family and all this stuff before, because I'm moving to California next month. So I'm just wanted to spend time with the people that I was going to miss on the East Coast before I leave.
Paltrocast.